giving fresh face for these hoes. Hold on, wait. You see me.
It's me, Lara. Welcome to my channel. I am super excited. This is Vlogmas Day 3, and I decided that I am going to do an Ask Me Anything. So I was on my Instagram yesterday, on my Instagram story, and I asked you guys to ask me any question that you wanted, as well as my YouTube community tab. So I got a few questions. I also went to my YouTube channel for questions as well. So I got a few questions and I am here to answer them and set the record straight. If there was any confusion, which I doubted very seriously. But I'm going to go ahead and answer y'all's questions. All right, so there are about 10 or 12 questions that I'm going to answer today. And I'll try to be as simple with my answers as possible. Operative word being try. First question, what if I can still type pretty fast while looking at the keyboard? That's fine, as long as you can type fast or type fast enough. Like, you can look at the keyboard. I look at the keyboard sometimes when I type. It depends on what I'm typing. Do you feel like a toxic work environment is more common in dispatch jobs? I have a conditional offer at an agency, but all I read is horror stories of poor trainers, like you described, and how most people just want to quit before training is even over. Plus, I feel like overtime is something that happens more often than they let on. It sounds like I'm going to be nonstop work until you reach seniority. Well, this is from Danny. So, Danny, to answer the first part of that question, do you feel like a toxic work environment is more common in dispatch jobs? I wouldn't say no. I've only had one dispatch job, but I've had a lot of other jobs in life, and toxicity is not just because of dispatch. You're going to have toxic people in every workplace. It just matters on how people handle their stress. No, I don't think that is just for dispatch. It's everywhere you go. Toxicity is everywhere, girl. Hate to tell you. Who was your hero when you were younger? I definitely would say I think my daddy was my hero when I was younger. I've always felt like he could do anything. And I mean, growing up, he could fix anything. He literally could do anything. So I thought that my dad was pretty much unstoppable. He definitely was my hero. He faced adversity and he did things that people just wasn't doing at that time. He was a single parent, and in the 90s, people weren't like single. There weren't really single dads out there. And so to me, he's pretty heroic. He's pretty much my hero. The next, it's not a question, it's just a statement. It says, you have such a fantastic personality. I actually wish you were my neighbor so we could hang out. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm really not a great neighbor. I don't even talk to my neighbors. I don't even know their names. So I don't know how that would fare, but thank you so much about the personality compliment. That really means a lot. She also said, very interesting and informative. You seem like a lovely lady. Plus, I have the same name, Lara, so you must be lovely. That is correct. Lara is for lovely and luscious. Whoa, my nail light came on and fell. L is for Lara, luscious, and lovely. One thing people would be shocked to know. Okay.
You in my business. Don't do that. Keep it pushing.
So, one thing people would be shocked to know about me is that I am polyamorous. Let that sink in. Next question. Where Where do you see yourself in 10 years? My goodness. So in 10 years, I'll be 45. Almost 46. So I see myself alive. I hope I'm still amongst the land of the living. I hope to be more advanced in my career. I love what I'm doing currently, and I would love to kind of just go elevate within the organization that I'm in. So I don't plan on having kids in 10 years, but I do plan on maybe having a couple of partners and traveling the world together. Like that would be really, really cool, exciting. So 10 years, I plan to just be better than where I am today, more elevated in my career and further along in my relationships. As a 911 dispatcher, have you ever witnessed a live shooting over the phone? So an active shooter? No. Thank God. I have been on calls where shootings had just taken place, but never heard gunshots or heard people getting killed in the background, or an active shooter is what we would call it. I never took a call of an active shooter. Now, I've done trainings for active shooter calls, but never an actual active shooter. Does that make me less qualified? I'm just kidding. She says, in response to my why I'm no longer a 911 dispatcher video, she says, you are probably a much better dispatcher all around than she is. And that's very kind. Thank you so much. I doubt that that was the case. She's just an odd person. And that's okay. We all have our things, and I can't be mad at her for that. I've moved on. This is probably one of the funniest questions. They said, in 911, do you get calls from Karens? Absolutely. But yes, often, I used to often get calls from Karens. I guess Karens, I know what Karens are. One of the I remember the first call I got from a Karen who was saying that there was a suspicious person in her neighborhood, and they were suspicious because they were Black. Like, I asked them, because you have to ask, like, why are they suspicious? Like, what are they doing that's making them suspicious? And she was like, because he's Black. I'm like, man, that ain't no crime. Do you have any quirky talents? I don't know if it's a talent or if it's quirky. Not exactly sure. But we're going to go with this one. I can touch my tongue to my nose. But it needs assistance because it's really not a flexible tongue. But I can touch my nose. Here we go. So I'm going to go like this. I can't believe I'm doing this on the internet. Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay, I'm sorry. That was for you. Don't tell nobody but God. Y'all are funny with these questions. Okay. A couple more. That had made my eyes water. Whew. I have a question. Do you feel it's job security in the smaller cities? I'm from Cali, and our bigger cities allow more movement around the city with job transfers, as opposed to smaller cities being limited. Would you say this is the same in Dallas? I would say that job security comes from doing your job well. I really don't think that it matters the size of the agency necessarily or the organization, but it depends a lot on you. When you are a great employee, when you do your job well, that is your security. And just because there is a lot going on, there may be a lot of crime, there may be a lot of violence, but if you're not doing your job correctly, if you're not effective in your job, then I think that that will be the reason why they don't keep you around versus the size of the agency. Now, I do know that at a larger agency, like I worked at probably a medium-sized agency in the suburb of Dallas, and so there were opportunities for promotion, but not very often. A lot of times, dispatchers have been working there for years. You either have people who've been working there a really short amount of time or people who've been there a very long time, and really not a lot of people in between. So those are the ones who typically get those promotions because they have more seniority, and most jobs like that require you to have a certain amount of experience before you can promote up to the next level. So I would just say be really great at what you do. Ask lots of questions. If there's something that you don't understand, ask questions. If you need additional help, ask questions. If you want to, really take the time to be better at your job, ask questions. Figure out ways that you can get additional training, additional practice, additional time, like listening to calls and things like that. Like you always want to be proactive. I try to be proactive in my job. I always, just because I strive for excellence. And I know that excellence isn't always obtained, but the closer I can get to it, the better I'm going to feel. So even in my job, if there's something that I did in that job or an experience that I had that I didn't necessarily feel comfortable about, I'll ask questions afterwards. Like, what would you have done differently, or how would you have presented this situation? I always say ask questions. You are the master of your own fate. I am a true believer in that. All right, let me tell you this. In my 35 years of life, I have never had a job that I did not get paid for training. So I'm going to say this. It is proper for you to get paid while you're training. If a job is not offering to pay you for training, don't do that. I don't work for free. Absolutely not. And I don't think it matters like how much I love, like how passionate I am. Like I could do the job for free, but I ain't doing the job for free. Like it's a difference. Like it's levels to it. And I'm not working for free. And my last question, do you have any fears or phobias? Yes. Animals, like legit, like big creatures, like lions, tigers, and bears. Oh my, like I'm scared of those. Any kind of like furry animal, I'm pretty much scared of it. People, I'm not scared of y'all. But animals, yeah, I don't fuck with animals like that. Like, oh no, I have to clutch my pearls. I ain't even wearing none today. Furry animals really scare me. Just don't know what it is. I hope you all learned something about me today. I hope you learned something about being a 911 dispatcher. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you haven't already done so, go ahead and subscribe, like, and leave a comment down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye.